So hello, good evening. Should we start? Yes. So what do you see on the first page of the newspaper? Anything important, anything relevant? Half page is anyway taken by advertisement. Yes, Aadhaar EPIC ration card as proof. Supreme Court says this is a good proof. Proof of what? Have you read? No? Okay, does it seem it is an important news as such, or just for the sake of reading we are reading it? No newspaper? Sad. Okay. So, this news is highly important for now because something is coming from Supreme Court right now for us. Okay, since last few days continuously we see this news that Bihar elections are going to take place. If I'm not wrong, in the month of November, the state assembly elections for Bihar are going to take place. Okay. Now, who conducts the state elections? Is it State Election Commission or Election Commission of India? It's the Election Commission of India which conducts state assembly elections, not State Election Commission. Okay? I knew you will make it wrong. Now, when they are conducting this election, now we have got some power with Election Commission of India under Article 324 of the Constitution. Article 324 gives immense power to Election Commission of India that they have to conduct the election in a fair manner. Okay, in a very fair manner. So they will get authority. They can decide what to do, what not to do as such. Okay, so article clearly says superintendence, direction and control of elections to be vested with Election Commission. That's why during elections you observe that the power is there with the Election Commission of India. Even the bureaucracy that we have, that has to listen to Election Commission and not the government of the day. Okay. Now we have something called Representations of People Act, RPA 1950 and Representations of People Act 1951. Okay, these are two acts which are related to our elections. Now people get confused. You will read about these acts in detail later on as part of your static. But specifically if I look at it, this first act, this talks about this electoral roll, means the list that Election Commission prepares before this election takes place. Let's say in our area the election has to be carried out. So Election Commission will make that list, who are the voters over here in this particular area, right? That electoral roll, that preparation has to be done by Election Commission. Okay, so this act particularly deals with that part. And this 1951 act, it is about how the election has to be conducted. That process involves over here in this particular act. Okay, so you just remember this article 324 of the Constitution, their Election Commission has some role, and this Representations of People Act 1950. Okay. Now why this Bihar election is in news even before the election is being conducted is because of this thing called as SIR, that is Special Intensive Revision. Okay, this term is being used, Special Intensive Revision. What exactly it is? So simply they are revising this electoral roll list. Means let's say in Bihar already Election Commission has got a list of people who are voters in this particular area. But let's say this list was prepared lastly in 2003. Do you think same people are going to vote in 2025? Or some people needs to be added? Some people might have crossed that 18 plus age, so they should be added in it, right? And some people might have died. That is also possible. They need to be removed from the list. Or maybe some people might have migrated from Bihar to some other state. Now they are not even resident of Bihar. They should also be removed. Can you get this basic idea? So for that, what Election Commission can do is the revision. They can revise this list, okay, and they are revising under this particular program we call a special intensive revision. So before this election of Bihar State Assembly elections, Election Commission is saying we are going to go ahead with this special revision wherein we will revise the entire list. We'll check everything, okay, so that we can have a good election. Now Election Commission is saying we are going to conduct this special intensive revision throughout India. But because Bihar election is there, so we'll start with Bihar election first. And later on we'll do it for entire India. Is it a bad thing or a good thing? Good thing, nothing problematic as such, we don't find as such. Okay. Now, why this SIR is needed? One thing we understand that some people might have migrated from this region to the other region. Now migration is happening. This is a reality which we have to see very clearly because of the phenomena of urbanization. We see that some areas are developing. Let's say for example Hyderabad is a good example, or Bangalore is a good example. Cities are developing. So people from rural area, they try to migrate to the urban area because they can get some kind of job. Education, job, these are major reasons because of which people will migrate. As far as Bihar is concerned, we see this migration in heavy number. UP and Bihar, we see this migration, right? So this is one thing. Second thing, what happens, many times people migrate from one region to the other. Let's say one person belongs to, let's say, this Hyderabad constituency, okay, he's part of this region. So his name is registered here with the Election Commission of India with this constituency. Now he went to some other region, he is living in that region since last 10 years. And now he got registered over there also. Now this person can vote for 2 times. Will that be a good election? No, that will be a flawed election. If most of the people will do this thing, that won't be right. So Election Commission is concerned about this dual registration part. That is one problematic stuff, okay. Then many a times what happens when elections are being conducted, or let's say one party wins, other party doesn't win, they say that there was some kind of manipulation done in the elections, right? What matters in any democracy is, once the election is conducted, the party who has lost the election, they should accept the results. Let's say BJP versus Congress. Let's say Congress lost the election. Congress should accept it, that yes, we have lost the election, we did not get the vote. If this happens, normally this happens. If this happens, then it's a good thing. Democracy will continue. But let's say, out of 2 parties, one party wins, other party says, no, we didn't lose. There was some problem with the Election Commission. They didn't do their task properly. There was some manipulation. What will happen? There will be conflict. There can be a civil war also. And we can't see democracy sustaining in any such country. Okay, you will see such examples happening throughout the world in many countries where the other party doesn't accept it. Then 2 divisions of the same country. This will happen. So this is very important thing. Whenever there are any kinds of political complaints about this manipulation of elections, then the role of Election Commission of India becomes very important. That's why we have this independent body who takes care of elections. We don't give all the authority of elections to the government. Otherwise they would have, what they will do is just ensure that they win the election every time, like North Korean president, right? Are you getting this idea? Political complaints, that part. Then last, this kind of revision, special intensive revision in Bihar was done in the year 2003. And we understand that by 2025, many things must have changed. That's why it seems important for Election Commission. Now Bihar is a state which borders other countries also. Which country? Yeah, go and check maps. Okay, that's a basic question. Now, any state which shares border with any other country, there is a risk of migration from foreigners. There is a possibility that foreigners are living in that particular state. Now, it is again the responsibility of Election Commission to ensure that no foreigner votes in the election, right? So this also matters. And whether your voting roll list is accurate or not, again that will be questioned. That's why Election Commission of India has to do this what we call SIR, Special Intensive Revision. Any doubt on Special Intensive Revision? No? Is it a good thing? Now we get this thing? It's a very good thing. Now where this problem arose or why it has become controversial? Because when recently this SIR was announced by Election Commission, they said that we will check each and every person in this voting list or this electoral roll. So the officer will go to every person's house, they'll check whether you are the same person or not. So they'll ask for some documents to verify your identity. Right? Now Election Commission has given a list of 11 documents. They have given a list that you have to produce, you have to show at least one or two of these documents, these 11 documents. Now, the controversy arose when we got to know that this list of 11 documents does not include Aadhaar card, ration card, voter ID. Now, majorly the concern was this Aadhaar card. And people went to Supreme Court. Why Aadhaar card is not here? Why can't I show Aadhaar card and show that this is the same person, this is my identity? Now here it became conflicting. Now Election Commission, or one side of the argument, it says that Aadhaar card cannot guarantee your citizenship. Even on Aadhaar card it is written that it is not a valid proof of your citizenship, that you are citizen of India. That means any person from other country can also get Aadhaar card of India. Maybe. Right? Because Aadhaar, they are not claiming that it is a proof of citizenship. Now the point is, they are saying, why, how can you use it? But on the other side, people say that Aadhaar card is being used as a proof of identity for almost every scheme of government. Whenever anyone is taking benefit of any scheme of government, or they're going to bank and anywhere, they're using Aadhaar card as a proof of identity. That means you just want to check that I am the same person or not. So I can show Aadhaar card. So here Supreme Court is questioning one part. Identity and citizenship, these two are different things. When you are revising your electoral roll, why are you interested in checking the citizenship? You just need to check, you just need to identify the person. And that you can do with Aadhaar card also. So Supreme Court has said to Election Commission of India that please consider these three documents also. Aadhaar card, ration card and this voter ID, please consider these documents also as documents of identity. Okay, that's why it is in news. Any doubt? Yes? Now see, this particular article on page 1 and this article on your editorial, both of them are discussing the same part. And there's one more article, need to safeguard right to vote. Now, a few things that are important over here which I can observe is right to vote is being focused. Now right to vote in India, is it a fundamental right? Good question. No? Sure? Okay. Is it a legal right or let's say, is it a constitutional right?
Constitution provides that name should be naming as per the rules should be present. That's the constitution provision, but right to vote is mentioned in different things. I specifically don't remember that.
Okay, no problem. So when I say is it a fundamental right or not, so you will just check the list of fundamental rights. In that, do you find right to vote? No, then it is not a fundamental right. But when I say constitutional right or not, you have to check the entire constitution. So I think there is Article 326, if you read, which talks about adult franchisee, right? Anyone who has completed this 18 years age can vote in the elections. So you got the right? Yes, we got the right. So yes, it is a constitutional right for sure. Now, the point is, right to vote is getting violated because of this one simple action of Election Commission of India, and right to vote is very important for any democracy. This is what Supreme Court is trying to say here. When they said that you can't give this particular documents, now you're putting additional burden on the citizens. Unnecessarily, you are putting additional pressure on the citizens and you are violating their right to vote in the elections. Supreme Court is focusing on this dimension, that these documents and all these things, these are important. All your revision part, all that is important, but the core of democracy lies in the right to vote. That is way more important than these things. Okay, so they are saying don't put this burden on the citizens. If anyone has objections about anyone's citizenship, that's a different case. Okay, that person can put objections, file a complaint and all. But why you are putting that onus on every single person? When you're revising the list, what you're doing is, let's say 8 crore people. 8 crore people are there in Bihar right now. Just for the sake of example, I'm saying. What Election Commission is doing? It is putting responsibility on all these 8 crore people to prove that you are the citizens of this particular place, or their residents as well as their citizens, and unnecessarily creating hurdles. Think about the dimension wherein there are many people from Bihar who have already migrated to different regions of India. They're working there. Will they come just to show one document, they will come back to the region of Bihar? Is it the right thing to do? Especially you're doing this just before the elections, just few months before the elections. So the time that is being given to produce these documents, that is also very less. Okay, so these are the things court is focusing on. Now here one thing that is being talked about is natural justice. Now look at this thing. Court is saying natural justice gets violated when Election Commission of India takes such action. Any idea what is natural justice? Huh? No. Natural justice means simply when you understand justice, what is the right thing to do, what is justice. So naturally what we can understand in simple, that if let's say there is a problem, there is a conflict or something. First of all, you give every person the chance to speak. Two persons are fighting, you will not just give the judgment, you will give both parties the chance to speak out. This is one thing. Second, if you are also party to this case, means you are also involved in this case, then you will not be the judge in this case. Otherwise, the judgment will be on my side only. And third, whatever judgment you give, you have to give reason behind that. You will not give just judgment just because I feel that you are right, I'll give judgment on your side. No, I'll have to give the reason. This is the principle of natural justice. If all these three things are happening, we call it as natural justice. Okay? Now in this particular case, what is happening? You're not giving the fair chance to these citizens to showcase their identity completely. Time limit is there, right? Then you have not included few important documents, because voter ID or this Aadhaar card, these are very important documents. Right now we can say 80 to 85% of the population, they hold this Aadhaar card, right? So because of this principle of natural justice is getting violated. Okay? Any doubt on this article? Yes? No?
Section 62 of RPA, if you want national thing that mentioning right to vote.
Section?
62 of RPA 51. That is the thing, that is the one which is mentioning the right to vote.
Yes, is it necessary that if constitution mentions and then any act cannot mention?
I was told that constitution is mentioning that we have the right to be in the voter list. It is the RPA 51 which is provided.
See, simply when you are saying you have the right to be in the voter list when you become adult, am I right? What does this mean? If I am in the voter list, why would you not allow me to vote? Any logic? I am in the list, I can vote in Hyderabad elections. Simple. If I am not in the list, then that is a problem. Right? Okay. Now moving further, we have this news. Now not so important as such. This trade deal, again negotiations are going on. Trump is saying 10% tariff on BRICS countries we are going to put. So people in India are concerned, so they are going to United States. Okay, so some people are going to get some clarity on this tariffs. Okay, one thing here they are focusing on is some kind of mini trade deal, any kind of trade deal with United States of America, or a bilateral investment treaty. Just a brief about bilateral investment treaty. When you say bilateral investment treaty, bilateral means two countries are involved, right? Whenever we say investment treaty, it's just talking about investors. Let's say there are some investors from America, they are investing in India, in any company, or they are let's say building a company in India, whatever, some kind of investment they are doing in India. Now in case there is so much instability in India, let's say there is no political stability, suddenly governments are changing, or government is there but they are changing their policy. Suddenly government says we will have 40% corporate tax. After few days they say 60% corporate tax. So suddenly government is changing the plans, changing all these taxation rules or many rules which affect these investors. If there is no stability in terms of policy, in that case, do you think the investor will be interested in investing? No, they want at least the basic stability they need. At least they need some kind of assurance from the other side that there will be some stability. And in case there is any conflict, the investor prefers that any kind of conflict should be solved under any treaty from United Nations or WTO or any international treaty, not your Supreme Court. Because India's Supreme Court will give preference to Indians. They will feel like that. So they want that any kind of conflict should be resolved through either any treaty between these two countries or any international law. Right? So for that, many countries go for this bilateral investment treaty. Here, some kind of assurance is provided to the investors. Okay? So they are talking about this. We will wait for any such treaty to come out. After that, we'll get the entire details on this topic. Okay? Yes, tough? Not so tough. The next article, population decline and an ill-informed chorus. This article is not so important, but few things we can just understand, just for the sake of understanding. Right now, in many countries, there is a discourse, there is a public talk on this point that fertility rate is decreasing. What is fertility rate? Childbirth. Yes, childbirth you can say. The number of babies going to take birth from women, or the average that we normally take. Now normally what we expect that the total fertility rate should be of such a kind that if there is one generation in a country, let's say there are 1,000 people right now, then next generation should also include 1,000. What will happen? With time, this generation will be replaced by this generation. So if you have parents like mother and father, they should have 2 children. So this generation will be replaced equally by this generation. Right? So for the calculation purpose, they take this total fertility rate as 2.1. It should be ideally 2, but it is taken as 2.1 just for the sake of calculations. Okay. Now there is technicality involved, we'll not get into it. The point is, if our fertility rate is 2.1, that means our population is going to remain stable. Whatever number you see right now, even after 20 years, you will see the same numbers. Right? If it is more than 2.1, it will certainly increase. If it is less than 2.1, that means if right now there are 1 crore people in India, then after some years there will be 50 lakhs, 40 lakhs. They will decline if it is less than 2.1. Okay. Now as far as India is concerned, right now our fertility rate is somewhere in the same range of 2.1. So our population is relatively stable for now. Just few years back it was not the case. Okay. But you look at other countries like Japan or many countries in Europe, there the rate is on decline. Okay, fertility rate is on decline. They are very much concerned that after few years there won't be anyone living here in our country. What will we do? what is happening over there, the number of people in the age group which is higher, like old people, they are increasing, and the number of people in the young age, they are less in number. After some years, they know that the population is going to decline. Okay. Now the point is, here this particular article is talking something against this fertility decline part. They're saying that this is something very much exaggerated right now. The movements that are going on in many parts of the world, they're saying that you should produce more babies. This is called as pro-natalist policy. Pro-natalist means produce more babies. Okay. Now this article or the writer over here is saying this is something you're exaggerating. You don't need to do all these things. You look at the world population. Here they're not talking about country specific population but world population. So they're saying right now it is somewhere in the range of 8.2 billion world population, and it will be 10.3 billion by 2100. Okay, this is by United Nations World Population Prospects. Right? Now they are saying even if, let's say, this fertility rate is falling, we assume it is falling, still the number, if you see this 10.3 billion or 8.2 billion, this is not a small number as such. Okay, it was not the case that the earth had so much people living on this particular planet. It's already more. This is what he is trying to say. And he's saying, don't put the pressure on women to produce more babies. Look at the reasons why this decline is taking place. So some surveys they have tried to show. So one survey from this United Nations agency, they say that many people, they don't want more children. They want 2 children, but not more than that. Reason being, cost of living is increasing. You live in urban areas, the cost of living is very high. You can't survive with just small amount of money. Let's say you earn 20,000, 25,000. You can't survive in cities like Hyderabad. It's difficult. Right? So cost of living, cost of housing, there is insecurity, there is no job security also, especially in India. This is one major problem. Job uncertainty is there, because of which people do not produce more babies. So they are focusing on these dimensions. Okay, just this is good for your understanding part. Okay. Next one. This one was in news. It is talking about something called custodial violence or custodial death. When you are in police custody, you're not supposed to die. But police will treat you so nicely that you can die. Right? So police is supposed to investigate the case. Right? To investigate, they can make use of different techniques, but that doesn't mean you can abuse the person in such a harsh manner. That is actually not allowed, but they do it. We all know this happens. This is very normal over here in India. Now this kind of torture, it involves 2 things. One is your physical torture that you get. For example, they're beating you. Sometimes they give you electric shock, some sexual assault, put some pressure on you, or psychological. They'll give you threats. They'll give you threats and they'll put you under this psychological stress. So some kind of psychological trauma people go through. So all these things will happen when you're put in the jail. Normal jail is different thing. There is something called solitary confinement. Only you are there in that particular jail or that cell. And living alone is not an easy task. Just try once and you'll know how people become criminals or they go crazy. So this leads to psychological trauma. Now as far as this custodial violence is concerned, how serious it is you can understand through this particular data. 2016 to 2022, total 11,656 custodial deaths have taken place in India. Just for the sake of example, like you can remember 10,000, 11,000, you don't need to remember exact data, but if you remember 10,000 to 11,000 custodial deaths are taking place. This shows your argument that how police is working in India. Right? Then who is doing best in this? UP is doing the best. And as far as South India is concerned, is the Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu remains in news for this because earlier also they were in news, and recently Why this article is there? Because again recently one incident took place in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Now in Tamil Nadu, it's not just about custodial deaths. They use this provision of preventive detention. In preventive detention, what happens? You can detain a person. Detain means you can just arrest a person without any warrant. He has not done anything. He has not done anything. Before you carry out any action, I have arrested you. I feel that today, let's say there is this, in many parts of India, there is this Ganesh Visarjan that takes place. At that time, police becomes very active. They know that some people will do something, so they'll arrest them before you even do that act. So this preventive detention, now this is a provision available with law. The problem is when you misuse the law. In Tamil Nadu, we see the cases as 50% of total India's cases. That means preventive detention that is taking place throughout India, 50% is taking place in Tamil Nadu. Enough to showcase what Tamil Nadu government is doing or the administration or police is doing, that they are misusing the provision. Right? Now one more problem that you can see over here is about the marginalized communities. When these detentions are taking place, here most of the people who are detained, preventive detention, they belong to marginalized community. Specifically, they talked about Tamil Nadu, that more than 30% were belonging to SC category. So this shows how caste comes into picture even when police is dealing with some crimes. Okay? Any doubt on this part? Now what you should try to remember is these cases, although again not very important cases as such because these are not major cases. This Nambi Narayan case is quite famous. Many must have seen that movie also, I think. So here Supreme Court is anyway going to take the stand which supports the fundamental rights of citizens, right? Because here directly your Article 21, that comes into picture, right to life, personal liberty, that comes into picture. So here we have this DK Basu versus State of West Bengal. So here Supreme Court came up with some kind of guidelines. They gave some guidelines, you should adhere to those guidelines, they said. Then Ram Sagar Yadav, not so famous case as such, they said that there should be burden on the police to prove the innocence. Not so important, I'll leave it. Nambi Narayan case, here in this case we got to know after this case that how, because of some kind of mistake from the police side or their psychological traumatic pressures, you can destroy a scientist's career and you can destroy a nation's career also. A scientist who has been living in jail, who should have been in research and development, could have come up with so many scientific advancements for the country, which did not happen, right? So all these things were shown. Basic, just you should know. If I have to remember something from this particular article, I'll just try to remember this particular data, because I know this will be very useful for me in writing answers in the mains. This data will be very useful. Rest is a story which we'll remember anyway. Okay? Now, particularly this article talks about the issues that should be highlighted and the solutions that could be provided. So for example, they said there is a nexus between police and the politicians. Police will carry out these atrocities, they will do whatever they have to do, and after that, politician will save that police officer. Some way or the other way, politician will ensure that he will not get suspended, or he will be just suspended for a few days and he'll be back in the service. Why? Because politician has to do something with it. Maybe he was doing all those actions on the advice or directions of that politician. So there is this combination of police and politician. This is a problematic scenario over here. Second, this happens because of judicial apathy, means judiciary is not showing the sensitivity it should have shown. Even if police is going, judiciary knows, every day they see these cases, and still they're not taking any strict action against such police officers. Sometimes those medical tests which are supposed to be taken, these the judicial officers, they neglect it, they don't give much importance to it. Now this shows insensitivity from judiciary side, and state's reluctance to take any action in this particular case. Overall, when we look at state, when we look at the parliament or state assembly, they're not coming up with any particular law to deal with this custodial violence. Are you getting this point? So there is no political will. They are not even interested in bringing any such law which reduces this custodial violence. Okay, this is the core issue that we can highlight. Okay, if you know the problems, you can tell the solutions. So this is not something I need to tell you in detail. You can understand what solution can be there. For example, judiciary should take some action. They should, mandatorily record and review the injuries. They should check all the tests, everything. There should be some legal reform. Bring some bill from the parliament, like this prevention of torture bill, which is pending. So you can bring that bill. You can empower the human rights commissions at national level also and state level also, because they will bring the voice of these people who are suffering. Okay, so this is important. And some community engagement. People have to participate in this. There could be some platforms where the civil society, people like you and me, they can talk about these issues, and we can highlight these issues and put pressure on the government. Okay, problems and solutions, you can think about it. Any doubt? No doubt? Done?
We can also have NCSC commission.
Sorry?
NCSC, Constitutional State. NCSC.
Yeah, but that you are specifically talking about the SC community.
For SC also they
That you can say, but here when we are talking about generally the custodial violence, we are not talking about any particular caste as such. That commission will come into picture as soon as there is any problem with respect to that particular community. But when you are looking at general scale, you are looking at entire Indian citizenship or entire Indian population, then these are the general guidelines we can give. Human Rights Commission will not just talk about any particular community. They will talk about any person suffering, because they are talking about human rights. Okay? So that's it. There was one more article on TB, but we had already covered TB. Am I right? So no need to cover. That's it. Any doubts if you have, please ask, or we are done. No? Nice.